It's 104.9 Coyote Country. Good morning. It's Robert Miguel. It's finally Friday, man. Lots going on tonight. The big Coyote game homecoming, Kevin Fowler in concert. And, of course, this weekend, it's going to be a good time at the El Progreso Memorial Library. A fantastic event, reception. Everybody should come out and check it out in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. I've got a gentleman on the phone here, Dr. Ricardo Romo. And, sir, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, sir. Thank you, Robert, for calling.
Man, I'm telling you what, I don't know much about the event. I'm going to be honest. I've got some general information, but Mr. Morgan is always good at steering me into what's really cool in the community. And I know you have donated some work, some art, some books to the El Progreso Memorial Library, and you'll be here in town Saturday. So let's talk about the event Saturday at El Progreso.
Okay, so this Saturday, so there is a loan and then there's a gift.
Okay.
So this Saturday we have loaned from our collection Latino art. We have a substantial collection of Latino art, one of the largest in the country by any private couple. And we've loaned 25 pieces of that art to the library. And then later on, well, we've actually already donated 52 pieces. They'll be in the show in a later time. But this Saturday, we'll have the opening of the Hispanic Heritage collection of Latino artists, Latino, Hispanic, Mexican American, some refer Chicano artists. All of that's great, and we have some works by them. I think it's quite an impressive show, and I have to credit Mr. Morgan, Mandel Morgan, for being very enthusiastic about getting this collection.
Absolutely.
And putting it up in my home on 4 different trips. So he's really been gung-ho and active and very supportive.
Well, first of all, Mr. Morgan is, in fact, one of Uvalde's secret weapons, so we appreciate everything he does, especially with the library. But this is all very fascinating. Of course, we are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. Can you give me some examples of some of the art that you guys are going to have on display there at the library?
Well, absolutely. There are about 3 or 4 artists who are nationally recognized artists. They actually have, anytime you have a piece selected by the Smithsonian, only a couple of artists in San Antonio or Texas have their art collected by the Smithsonian. So it includes Jesse Trevino, who has one of the largest murals here in San Antonio, right across from Market Square. Jesse Trevino is an outstanding artist. His works are in the Smithsonian.
Wow.
He's a West Side kid who went to Vietnam, had his right arm blown off, and had to learn how to draw again with his left arm. He's quite an inspiration. He's an amazing person. And anytime you think that you got a bad day going for you, you think about the things that he had to go through, just hospitalization for over 2 years.
Wow.
And then learning how to paint with his left hand. But in any event, he's a terrific artist. And there's a piece there of San Jose Mission, which is quite pretty, right? Really attractive. And so he's one. Kathy Vargas, I just finished writing an article for La Prensa, Texas, and Kathy Vargas is mentioned in my article. She's also in the Smithsonian, a longtime professor at the University of Incarnate Word. She does photography, and what she does with photographs is amazing. In fact, it's almost, you got to think, it must be some kind of magic.
Wow.
There's also an artist named Ricky Armendariz. Ricky Armendariz is a professor of art at UTSA. He is a really well-trained artist. His specialty is carving on wood, on birch wood. The piece that is there is a canvas piece with a stunning sunset and clouds and mountains. He grew up in El Paso and likes to paint the mountain range of El Paso area in New Mexico. We probably have about 4 works by Franco Mundini Reis. Franco is probably the most international of the group. He has been a recipient of the Rome Award. So you go to Rome, Italy, if you get this award, and you get to paint there, I believe, for a year. So he's been a recipient of the Rome Award. He has worked a lot of years in New York City and then finally came home got tired of the big city and came back to San Antonio, where he was from. I believe there's 4 pieces by him.
Mm-hmm.
His works are generally very colorful. In this particular piece, I believe there are about 2 or 3 Alamos, and it's basically the Alamo at sunset, the Alamo at sunrise, the Alamo at midday, the Alamo with cactus, the Alamo with mules in the front. He's a very playful, fanciful artist, and like I say, he's quite established artist. Have had shows in museums. But there's another artist, and that's Armando Sanchez. Armando has a piece there of Dolores del Rio, which doesn't mean a lot to some folks, but to any one of the, and I wrote in my essay that to our parents and grandparents, Dolores del Rio was a great Mexican movie star, a great beauty that was in the films in Mexico and in Hollywood. Other artists, Omar Rodriguez is an abstract artist, but for this show we have one of his portraits of a Latino young man. By the way, Armando Sanchez, whom I mentioned, that did Dolores del Rio, also has a really fanciful, cute painting of a lion kind of in a playful circus-like event. And I think it'll be well received by the younger generation. The kids will like that one. We have donated 52 watercolors by Armando Sanchez to the library for their collection and to sell and for their fundraisers. So we have collected a lot of works by him. So there's quite a few outstanding individuals in this show who have stellar reputations.
Yeah, it sounds really fantastic. Obviously, we're talking again to Dr. Ricardo Romo, who is lending his collection to the El Progreso Memorial Library. It's going to be kind of a reception, and then you'll make remarks at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, Saturday. But these artists sound amazing. I mean, you're just describing them, and I see visions already dancing around in my mind. So a testament to what you do. Obviously, you are an art connoisseur. Tell me your history, how you acquired these pieces, and your passion, for art, and especially the art of the Hispanic and Latino culture.
Well, my wife, Dr. Ricardo Romo, who teaches at UTSA, and I have been collecting art for 48 years.
Wow.
And we have one of the largest prints of Latino arts in the United States. We have been spending the last 3 years donating these pieces, and we've been successful in donating over 1,000 original art pieces.
Amazing.
And University of Texas has 600 of them. Locally, the McNay has 500 of them. The San Antonio Museum of Art has 500. So we have really enjoyed donating things that meant a lot to us when we were younger and collecting, and now we feel like we're going to share it with the community. The community's been very good to us. And so we have fun. We have fun collecting. We have collected more than 300 different Latino artists. We only collect Latino art. We only collect Latino and Mexican art. And I say the difference is, of course, the Mexican art is from Mexico.
Right.
And the Latino art, Hispanic art is from the United States. But we have collected over 300 different artists. It's something that we've been doing most of our life. We're both educators. And I have been spending the last 10 years writing about them. I have written probably about 15 articles on different artists, and I now write for La Prensa in Texas, based here in San Antonio. And the essay on Uvalde actually will appear this Saturday.
Oh, wow. Very nice.
I wrote art in Uvalde, and then I wrote about what's in the show and what time to get there on Saturday. Get there at 3 o'clock, remarks at 4, and it ends at 5. And then it goes for 6 more weeks, thanks to the library. The library has been really supportive, and you couldn't ask for nicer people wanting to they made trips to San Antonio. We also donated about 25 boxes of books, and they made the trips over here, picked up the books, took them over there, sorted them out, and probably going up in the shelves as we speak. But it's been a joy working with with your community.
Well, you know what? I'm telling you what, this is such an amazing thing you're doing for us. You're quite the philanthropist. Again, we're talking to Dr. Ricardo Romo out of San Antonio. Obviously got just a huge, extensive collection of Mexican and Hispanic art, Latino art. And, of course, we are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. The big opening and reception is tomorrow, Saturday, 3 o'clock. And like you just said, ending at 5, remarks at 4. There's going to be some refreshments provided by the Valley CISD Culinary Arts Department. And my question for you is, obviously, you know, like I said, you're a philanthropist, you're donating, you've obviously invested many, many thousands of dollars into this, and you've got a clear passion for what you're into here. What is the piece that will never leave your possession? What are you sitting on that you just love and admire, and what are you proudest of?
My wife and I met at the University of Texas, Austin, and when she graduated, she went to work 1 year in Nicaragua. They paid her $2,000 a year as a teacher, and she spent $100 on an art piece that she bought in Colombia. It's that piece that I'm, it's the very first piece of art that either one of us had ever owned. My parents were hardworking ex-cotton pickers. Picked cotton in Texas and then had a little grocery store. And her parents were in Pasadena. They were blue-collar workers in the refineries. So neither one of us had any, there were a lot of more important things to spend money on than in art. Maybe that was the assumption then. And so we didn't, we spent money on clothes and other things. Mm-hmm. But so when we grew up, we kind of went to museums and said, God, it'd be nice to have one of, an art piece in our home, just nothing there, it's just bare walls. And we got to really bothered by bare walls, so we just bought an art piece. And that's a piece that I had actually, my wife, when we were moving back to Texas from California, went to California for graduate school, she said, everything doesn't fit, I'm going to sell some things. So she sold the piece. 30 years later, I found it again.
What?
Put it back from the people that she had sold it to, and then gave it to her for Christmas, to her surprise. And she said, how did you find it? I said, well, I remembered who you sold it to, and I called them up, and they still had it, and they said, if you'd like to have it back, we'll make a deal.
Wow, what a romantic story, man. I mean, you know what? I'm not a sucker for romance, but dude, I mean, come on, that's just tugging on the heartstrings right there. What a fantastic story. What a great, obviously some sentimental value in that piece. That, and of course, that's what it boils down to, right? I mean, the value of a piece is really how it's you. You put the price tag on it, right?
Oh yeah, and, this piece, she sold it at the garage sale for $50. And when I called them up and said I'd like to buy it back, what they honestly said was, no, if you want it and it's important to you, you can have it. So I sent them a set of dishes.
Wow.
Afterwards, I said, no, I can't, so I sent them a nice set of dishes, and it was, I'm sure, a win-win. They wrote me a nice note. But it's, those kind of pieces in which you get attached to, and it's not because it's worth $1,000. Mm-hmm. It's probably the value is really $50, but it's a nicely designed portrait of two people done by an artist whom I looked up and still is alive and active in Colombia.
Wow.
in Bogota, Colombia. At least he was a couple of years ago. So those are the kind of things that you get attached to, and you appreciate art. I think art always has a story, mm-hmm. and art always you get curious. You see something like a piece by Jesse Trevino, and you say, you know what? That's a beautiful rendering of the mission. I've never been there, and then you get curious. So you then go to the mission, and then you're there, and you get curious about who built the mission, and so those are the things that art can do. It opens up our minds
Absolutely.
to other possibilities.
Yeah, it's like a catalyst to further more information. So, thank you so much for spending some time with us here. Again, we've been talking to Dr. Ricardo Romo, who is going to be showing off his big collection this weekend, or kicking off this weekend, Saturday, 3 o'clock at El Progreso Memorial Library. That's 301 West Main Street. There's going to be a reception there. You're going to have some refreshments from the Valley CISD Culinary Arts Department. Then you'll be speaking at 4 o'clock. o'clock, and then you're lending your collection for the next 6 weeks, right?
That's correct, yes.
Well, very good, sir. It's been an honor and a pleasure speaking with you, and I look forward to shaking your hand and seeing all your wonderful art this Saturday at El Progreso, okay?
Likewise. Thank you, Robert.
Real Country with Robert Miguel.
Coyote Country.
104.9.